there's anybody on Zoom. Okay. Oops.
Welcome. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's the meeting of the Richard D. Latham Cultural District. It's a workshop that we are using to determine what projects we want the cultural district to fund. Oh my. Okay. Okay. The meeting is now called to order. It's 6 p.m. and welcome also to the people who are following on YouTube. We appreciate you being here if you couldn't be here in person. And I'm going to get started with an update. I'm going to ask Jill to get started with an update on the cultural district programs for FY 22-23.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. And just as brief introductions, the cultural district was formed in 2013. So we are on our 10-year anniversary of being a cultural district, which is yay, yeah. Been a great project. And so one of the updates to give you is that we were re-upped. So we're on the next 10 years of being a cultural district. And that's through the Texas Commission on the Arts designates every cultural district to be a cultural district. And so we have another 10 years to do a lot more fun stuff with them. I'm Jill Struby with the City of Smithville. I'm the liaison through the city side. The cultural district is a partnership between the city and a nonprofit arts institution. And so Jessica Reese is our Lost Pines Artisans Alliance partner, and she's the liaison from the Lost Pines Artisans Alliance. The City Council and the board of the Lost Pines Artisans Alliance make up the, members of the cultural district that have to do with doing the projects. And of course, Judy Bergeron is the department head at the library, where we basically house any of the cultural district activities, because that's the place that makes the most sense, because Public Works isn't a good place for cultural district activities, basically. So as we've been doing this now for 10 years and trying to do a lot of things to provide a lot of public arts activities and so forth in the community, and to have more murals, sculptures, any performances, musicians, support all of the people who are creative in this community. And I did want to also introduce, we have a new community engagement coordinator as of today, Jose Rivera. Yeah. So he is very capably, first day on the job, taking care of Zoom for us. Thank you so very much. Very appreciate that. So for an update on the cultural district programs, our youth banner program from last year is all up, and I guess not all. I have to say 8 of them are at the school district, and they haven't figured out where they're going to place them. So they're almost all up, and we will be getting them all up very shortly. We'll start the new this year, 2024. We're working with Smithville Education Foundation and the school again, and we're going to be able to do another year with the youth banner program. So we'll have new banners that'll go up on MLK Drive the next time around, and that'll be probably in right around Jamboree time, more or less, if we can make all of that happen. The Sculptures on Main project is about to come down. We have to notify the artist. This is usually the month when we switch out our Sculpture on Main project. That's going to come up again in the budget as we talk about this coming year. So when we wrote the budget, we weren't aware that we were going to receive funds for a sidewalk project. And so this year, the ramps along Main Street are going to be completely reconstructed. So they'll be more ADA compliant. They'll have more space. They'll be absolutely changing everything in that section on all of the corners from the end of Main Street at first, all the way down past the library. And so because of that, what we're going to ask the artists is if we can leave their sculptures through Festival of Lights, so that we have something on those stands while we have 5,000 people show up. And then we're going to put a pause on that program for this year because of the construction. So we don't have to interrupt the artists for this coming year. And then we'll just start back up next year with the Sculpture on Main program. Let's see. The other project, Oh, the coloring book, sure, the coloring book. So that's going well as well. That's part of our. We'll talk about that as our longstanding budget program as well. It's every year. It's sponsors pay for that, and we just have to basically make sure that we update the sponsor page. And so that's all just running on, running on momentum. It's all going very well. The teachers seem to love it, and the students love it, and so that's all going very well.
We'll talk about the summer reading club that the library does every year. We bring in at least 5 performing artists every once a week during the summer for the kids to enjoy, and they've been a rousing success. And that comes from the Friends of the Library budget. They support that often through grants from the Union Pacific Foundation, so we appreciate that very much. It is a chance for some of the students, some of the young kids to see performing arts that they wouldn't get to see otherwise. So we'll keep that going as long as we can.
Thank you. And so then the Music in the Park is another program that's been a longstanding partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. And that's been once a week on Thursdays in April has been the traditional way that we've run that. And so that's been Chamber puts up half of the cost, the cultural district puts up the other half, and that's been a longstanding partnership. And that has been, we've done postcards to try to gather information from the people who come every week, and it seems to be a very successful to do what we're wanting it to do. So people stay, they shop, they eat, they enjoy the music, and they're on Main Street enjoying more of the merchants activities and things like that. So we're real pleased with that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to provide that program. And then the wayfinding signs. So we have in our from 3rd or Loop 230 along Main Street to First, there are 8 call outs. 5 of them are for the Sculpture on Main program, and 3 of them are for the wayfinding signs. And so the last time that we installed the wayfinding signs was before the pandemic, and they need to be updated. And so that's part of what the budget that we're looking at with these longstanding projects program is. We wanted to try to update those signs and work with hopefully the Downtown Business Alliance. I did talk with Tony at one point, and so we're in discussion about how that might all look and where we might go with that. So that's where our longstanding programs are. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry. Oh, right. And the one new one, apologies. I did neglect when we were doing this because of sort of like the timing of it. This year is the 2nd year we have been a supporter of the music festival. That's mostly T. Warnke and Jeannie. Sorry. Jeannie Ralph and oh my gosh, Vicky Alan. Oh my gosh, yeah. So because I wasn't thinking, yes, and thanks to them for making that all happen, because it's that's what makes Smithville so great, is that people just pick up a project and they run with it. And so that's one of the 2 years is we're calling that longstanding partnership, and we're planning to support them again this coming year. So when you look at the budget, and we talk about this a little bit more detail coming up. Since we don't have the 2380 that's would be otherwise spent on the Sculpture on Main, since we're giving that a miss this year, we'll have the funds to be able to provide for the sponsorship for the music festival, and then have a little extra left over. So the city council approved $10,000 for the cultural district activities. So when you look at this, do the math on it, we are at what are we at? We're at $4,000 basically. Is that right? Did I do the math right? No, it's $3,000, right? Because we're taking 2 off plus 1. Yeah, so 3,000. So 3,000 out of the 10,000. So we'll be looking at what we'll be talking about now. We have the opportunities for the Cultural Texas Commission on the Arts grant programs to find projects for those, and then talk about the proposals that the various artists had submitted for our call for artists a couple months ago. So when if you don't have a copy of this information, there is There is some, right? We've got that on we have some here. If you need a packet, do you mind? Thank you. So so again, for another update, the TCA grant for Dickens on Main was awarded. Now, this memo was made prior to the award being announced. So our request had been 5,000 from TCA and 5,000 for the match. They didn't approve the entire amount, but they did approve 3,000 for the TCA grant plus 3,000 for the match. So we'll be working and Lori Huffman is here right now. So if you wanted to give an update on that in a minute, then we can talk about that. But that was awarded for their June grant request. The other one, the Riverbend Park postcard mural, which was submitted in July, that was also awarded for the full amount. So we've got those 2 TCA grant projects that we are actively in process of working with. The other 3 that are on that list, so the recommendations based on discussions that we had previously, were to touch up the existing paintings and add new portraits for the legacy portraits, which are at the wastewater plant over right across the street from the rec center, to do an artistic exterior for Mary Nichols Art Center. If you remember, a few years ago, they had those great big paintings that artists had done that was just plastered all over the art center and just made it really interesting and eclectic. And now it's just, we have a new paint job, which I'm grateful for. That was the grant that we got from, I want to say it was either LCRA or TCA. Been grateful to them to have a new paint job, but now it just looks like a bland building. And so we want to do something to make it look like an art building. And then the other one is to have a Towers Nursing Home senior art project. And this recommendation is to do like a radio show program. I have talked with Jake LeBlanc, who's the administrator over at the Towers Nursing Home, and they are very interested in doing this kind of project. So this would be to fund a quarterly program for them. So that's under discussion as well. That's all. Those 3 are, the 2 are awarded, the other 3 are recommended. Those are when we get up and we start talking about things. We'll be giving you the stickies. You've got, if you don't already have them, you're going to get 5 sticky dots. So you can vote on your favorites, and then we'll bring that back. And if you're watching by Zoom or on the YouTube link later, I'll be accepting votes through the end of day tomorrow, which is Tuesday the 7th. So voting day. So you have to vote by the end of voting day, I guess, because I'll need to create a report that I'll be giving to City Council for the November 13th City Council meeting. And then they will be providing them with recommendations on how to use this $10,000 for the cultural district. And then they will approve or make changes or whatever they do based on the recommendations. So that's kind of where we're at. Lori, did you want to talk a minute about the Dickens on Main? Okay, so come on up to the microphone.
And even
So I do have a 4th cultural district recommendation. It's not a TCA grant recommendation. It's a recommendation that we were putting forward on behalf of an artist. If you look at the artist submissions, it's actually the last one. So Jorge Sanhueza Leon, the Smithville, USA, to purchase some existing photo prints from his 2022-23 show of people who work or have worked for the city and elected officials. So this is a sum that we had worked out with him basically for the portraits that he had taken of different people who work for the city, and we would display them in city halls and on walls around the area. So we wanted to, in order to support his previous work. So that's the other, thank you for reminding me, that's the 4th cultural district recommendation for use of funds. But yeah, go ahead if you want to update.
Okay, so actually I'm very excited because a bunch of stuff has happened in the last couple days. I've been working with Zapco and very excited. They're very, very excited to support us. And they actually, long story short, they are going to support the cost of the entire newspaper that we're doing a newspaper that's going to look like an old timey hear ye newspaper. It's a tabloid size, folded, it's very simple, but the front 2 pages will be the top, a very old picture of Smithville downtown. The bottom will be a map of all the things that's going on and a schedule on the side. And then the back is going to be ads that we can sell. And the original agreement was we're selling the ads to pay for the cost of the newspaper, because we need to print we're thinking 10,000. We're going to pass them out during Festival of Lights. I've ordered a ton of little bells that we're going to sew, onto them and wrap them like we're going to have little boys running around in tatted clothes like Oliver, hear ye, and handing them out during Festival of Lights. And then we still need to have a lot of them to give out during the actual festival. I'm super excited about this because the ability for us to gain some dollars for this is about maybe $1,200-1,500. And they were giving us a huge break of about $1,000. And the cost was still over $1,700. And so I went back to them and said, look, can we work something out? Will you help us? And so they're going to support the entire thing. So the money that we get from selling those ads is all going to go into the Smithville Community Improvement Fund, which can do all kinds of things. But anyway, so that's done. One of the other things, we've gotten some new sponsors, including Bluebonnet and some other people. And then skating rink, we got it. It's done. I actually sent them the check today, or actually I paid on my credit card today, but it's done. So we've got the skating rink. It is, we had some issues, but we worked through all those, and it's going to be on Main, probably in front of Texas Trails. Texas Trails, because the street is flat enough right there. If we turn the 40-foot by 20-foot skating rink lengthwise instead of trying to do it sideways, which my brain was stuck on that for a while. I kept looking at places and trying to put it sideways, and we can't do that because our street dips, which of course it has to. But if we turn it side, it's a 20-foot by 40-foot skating rink, which, by the way, is costing us over $12,000. It's okay, though, because I think we're going to have enough fun with it this year that hopefully we can maybe even buy one for the city going forward, so that we have our own and we don't have to. I can buy the guy felt so sorry for me because of a situation that happened, that he told me that if we could not work this out and find somebody to get us one this year, that in March of 2024, he would sell one of his reconditioned skating rinks to us for $38,000 or $39,000. That's like twice what we're paying to rent it for 1 year. So I think we need to look at that. But again, that will be up to the committee. We are looking at putting a committee together for Dickens. So that committee will move forward with the entire project from here moving forward. I will stay involved in that, but I really, really want a committee of various people from Smithville to be in charge of that. Monica's one of those that I've already approached. Anyway, so that's done. So many things that we've gotten kind of accomplished. Courtney Dyer has been absolutely amazing. She is totally handling all of the vendors. So she's in charge of the vendor program completely. She's come and asked me a couple questions. I'm like, honey, this is your deal. You make it up. And then Anne Marie has been amazing. Have you guys seen all of the historical stuff she's been posting on Facebook about Dickens? It's wonderful. So she's out there doing the marketing. That's done. I think that's we're moving forward, full steam roller ahead. And so now I had some other stuff going on that's finished now. So right now we're really like moving forward fast and furious, but everything's going well. Everything's going real well. Huh? Oh, 15th and 16th of December this year. The reason it's the 15th and the 16th of December this year, I wanted it to be the second weekend of December, but there are some very important events going on in Bastrop this year. And because it's our first year doing this event, we did not want to compete with anything. So we really wanted to have like an open weekend where hopefully everybody would want to come. We're not charging for the event at all so that people can, and everybody can come. I'm working super heavy with the schools. Like, seriously, you have no idea how heavy, big time. So if I can get all the schools and the kids and them all involved, then I'm going to have all the parents. So that's the deal. So we're working towards that. And then I'm very, very, very hopeful. And I'm still very hopeful. Oh, all the ads are starting this week. I've called the Austin American Statesman. Luckily, my first career was in advertising before in real estate and my recent craziness. But I recognized the lady's name at the Austin American Statesman, and I emailed her and said, I think I know you. My name at the time was blank. And she emailed me back and said, you know what? I think we do know each other. And so, because I do have a lot of connections in that business, so I'm wanting to put this together. So I want to tell you guys this, and I hope some of you can help me make this come to fruition. My last and biggest dream for Dickens is that because of everything that's going on in our world right now, it's not a very good world right now. I would really end, because I'm going to be paying, or Dickens is paying $3,500 to have the stage erected for the Friday night dance. We're going to keep the stage up the whole weekend. We're not going to put it up for 2 hours for $3,500. That's not cost effective. We're not doing that. So we're keeping the stage up for the entire weekend. I'm going to all the churches, and I'm putting stuff out on Facebook on our community page, which we have over 200 volunteers on now, and asking for help to help me get through to all the churches. We're going to have choral groups go up there. We're going to have the bands go up there from the junior high, from the high school. Really, really hoping that we can work something out where we have the high school band lead us at one point, maybe Saturday late afternoon. I haven't decided. I don't know. We have to talk about that. But I would really love to close the loop just for an hour or two while we do this. And all of us as citizens gather on Main Street and hold hands up. I got chills. From one side of Main Street to the other. And we're going to have the band, and hopefully Hannibal, I'm hoping, lead us in either We Are the World kind of song or Hannibal's song. I would love that. That's kind of in the works. So if anybody has suggestions, comments, ways to make that happen, please come to me, because I feel like that is something, number one, it's the right kind of message that we want to put out of who we are and what we want to do. And we want to stand together, and we want to be a community, and we want to support, and we want to lift. And number two, it would definitely put us in a very, very positive light and potentially get us some press, positive press. It could do so much for us. So that's the last goal. It's not in stone yet, but that's what we're working on. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Our understanding of the news story that community impact that comes out daily, full of information. So that's a good source of information.
Can you tell me that again? Okay.
It comes out every day, almost. community impact. And that's become our standard news source for local news.
And that's out of Bastrop?
No, it's out of, I don't know where. I think it's, yeah,
Okay.
basically it's become our standard news source.
Okay, I'm not
Thank
familiar with that. I will definitely look into that. Thank you. Anything else? Nope, that's it.
Thanks very much. Is there any commentary or anything from Zoom? Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so that's.
Juan, if you could address how the voting works for these projects separately from the projects we're about to talk about. And what we're interested in doing, some of the cultural district projects, the ones that are grant supported, we get sponsors to help pay for those. And so less money has to come out of the cultural district. So if you could help with that.
Sure, and part of it is that what we'll also do is so here, this is gonna be the interactive part. A couple of the artists are here already, and so I wanted to give them some floor time before we get up and do the voting. I know that Janice Lee is here, Monica Paz. I don't know, Michelle, are you, okay. And I'm not familiar with, it's okay. So if you are, so what we're going to do is everybody has their stickies. Some of them have already used them, but we've got the 4 cultural district recommended projects. And then we've also got all of the artists submitted projects. They're all up on the doors. And they're on those back doors. We can close those doors. This door will close that door as well. So you can see them all. They're all in, if you wanted to see the proposal, we've got copies of the proposals here as well, so you can take a look and see what else is in that information that you might want to see before you make a decision. We can talk about some of these more directly as well once we've got the artists come up and talk about what their work is. And then this room will vote here tonight. And then if you're on Zoom or watching by YouTube, like I said, if you can get that information to me by close of business tomorrow, then I can get that information into the report that we'll give to council to recommend. So this is our decision-making process. It's a little bit different than what we've done typically, but part of that's because of what we wanted to do is to allow, we've not actually, council is doing more proactive decision-making. Typically what we've done is, because it's been only about $4,000 in the pot, it's been the group that's come up and we kind of talk it out and figure out what we're doing and then just work on what we're working on for a small amount of money. So this year we've got a little bit more funding. So we want to make sure that council is informed and aware, and with the community having their input into what it is that, to make sure that the council is informed by the community-driven information.
But also to separate the idea, and any of these, if we get sponsors for them, that'll help defray the cost that the cultural district has to pay. But especially when we apply for the grants that are approved, we make sure that the cultural district has the funding to provide the match. If we get sponsorship, then that match money that's committed can fall back into the other public art projects. So that's why we are only voting on recommending 4 of the projects, because 2 of them are already funded, and then we'll still be working on sponsorship for those.
Any questions about that process? Okay, so I guess
for the sake of the folks online, and so that we have a voice, that the artist submissions that have been submitted, I'm just going to read through them, the titles and the artist, and then the ones that are here to speak, to present their plan, they can do that. The Smithville Business Association, for Judy Paul, wants to redo the Hope Float sign that has been at the Highway 71 entrance near the airport. Drums for Youth has proposed an artscapes, which is transforming public spaces through art. Janice Lee is Smithville Sustainable Art Garden, a permanent art installation at a community gardens property with a vegetable mural painting along a fence line, or border wall, incorporating handmade pottery for herbs growing at the base. Bernadette Knoll has submitted Worries, Winds, and Wishes, a colorful weaving on a cedar frame woven by visitors to the loom who will write a worry, a win, or a wish on a piece of cloth chosen from the colorful array of fabrics offered. Michelle Gardella has offered Community Archive Project, collaborative photography exhibit, and educational series done in conjunction with Smithville residents. Courtney Dyer is proposing Cultivating the Colors of Sound. The Sunday Market would like to continue to request support from musicians through December. The Community Engagement Coordinator grant paid for July, August, and September, so they want to continue this program. The Yarn Bombers of Smithville are proposing Planting Joy, an 800+ square foot botanical themed temporary yarn mural assembled from individual 2-foot by 2-foot crocheted and knitted squares. And then the one that was mentioned, it's going to be added to the Cultural District recommended projects, was the purchase of existing photo prints from Jorge Sanhueza Leon's work that he did last year.
And so what I did want to mention, I don't know if your brains work this way. You can certainly pick up one of these forms if you like. It's basically criteria if you wanted to sort of, look across a couple of different reasons why you should vote in a way and go across. There's a lot of projects to consider. So if instead of, just sort of going, like a lot of people going with your gut, that's fine. But if you also kind of have to feel like you need a numerical kind of quantitative route, I've got these forms for you. Some of the criteria are basically that the project has to have the potential to be implemented, so feasibility. The project budget has to be realistic. The experiences and qualifications of the artist have to be allowed to be ensured successful project implementation. If anybody needs to have commitment letters, that can be another to prove that match is secured. The impact of community, impact on community, so that the project is a benefit to Smithville residents, and aesthetic quality. The quality of the artwork needs to be high. So if that's just a basic framework, if you did want to use that, I know it's not necessarily how a lot of brains work, but if you did want to use that, you're welcome to. Otherwise, anybody who doesn't already have the sticky notes, we can pick that up when it's time. But now, like I said, there's a couple of artists who are here. I don't know who wants to get started. Janice, do you want to? Sure. Do you want to go ahead and just summarize? Thank you.
If anybody wants printed packets, Jill, if you want to.
If anybody wants the printed packets, we've got a couple of copies out here to pass around. Thank you. Okay. And yeah, and so I guess Jose just said he emailed these to a few of the people online as well. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Testing. Yes. All right. Well, thanks for having me here. And my project involves community gardens, creative placemaking, and this could function in many different ways, such as future outdoor dinners, fundraising events, and things like that. So it gives us an additional place to gather as a community. The project itself involves robust community involvement, as we did with the welcome sign in Smithville over the summer, where I offered free art classes for people of all ages, and we got a great span of people enthusiastically contributing, who were very proud of their work and learned a lot, and are also in support of this project. So there's community involvement at several levels, including of course, the community gardens. In order to scale this back to fit the new budgetary guidelines, the first thing I would eliminate would be the pinch pots, the ceramic pot for herbs that was proposed by Joe Watts. She's actually withdrawn. She's in Europe. That it isn't critical to the project anyway. It was just a way of involving more different types of media and people. So one of the things that I've done in the past that I want to bring into this project is an educational aspect. I've developed curriculum for people ages 5 and up to learn botany. I have some experience as a botanical and medical illustrator and as an educator as well. So, you know, one possibility for this mural is sequential artwork, which I'm also trained in. We can show the stages of growth of particular plants, which is a great way for people to familiarize themselves with botany. People of all ages, it's beneficial. We can see the plant parts and how those parts are integral in the development of the plants and our food, ultimately. I've named this thing different names in the past. One of them was the Flower Power Art Camp, which we can do during the summer. I've done one in other locations called Zoom In, like a pollinator boss. So people get to see the relationship of the pollinators to the plants. And again, this is targeting all ages. Another way that I can scale this back is to cut down on the amount of classes. I realized in looking this over this morning, because this was originally proposed beginning of August, that I could scale back on the classes. I think I had 6 to 10 weeks. I don't remember, but that wouldn't be necessary for this. So that could be shortened. So we're shortening it with that. We're shortening it with eliminating the pinch pot aspect of the project. And the third way that I could scale this back to meet our budgetary demands would be to make it inclusive of materials and have those materials donated. So that would bring the cost down significantly. Any questions? I did check the box on the TCA grant, so I don't really know exactly how that works. I mean, am I in line or something else I need to do?
Oh, no. So what we would do is part of what we'll discuss, kind of we'll reconvene on it once we find out from council which projects they want to support. Then we'll come back and we'll decide which ones are going to go for the TCA grants. So the TCA has 3 calls for proposals. There's a January call, a June call, and a July call. And so if council says yes to this project and it makes the most logical sense for this project to run in the springtime, it would be required to be from this. If you get the grant, if you submit the grant in January, we'll know about it in March, and it has to be completed by the end of August. So it's not a 12-month grant; it's a much smaller time frame. But so that would be basically once the selection process is completed, then we'll come back and negotiate which ones are going to be the TCA funded. There's another, I think you had one in here too. So there's I think another 2 people who had requested to be part of the TCA program. So we'll just, once we have the votes in and we kind of have our recommendations in as a more general concept, then we'll come back and kind of fine tooth comb that and figure out who's going to, how we'll proceed with the TCA grants. Does that Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
thank you.
Sure.
Oh, one other thing I had mentioned in the grant was classes to be held at Mary Nichols Arts Center, seeing as the city of Smithville owns that building. But it actually would make more sense to have the classes right out at the community gardens. So we wouldn't need the use of that city building. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice. I appreciate that. So you're next. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Monica, and I am one of the yarn bombers. I am no longer the yarn boss, as we call it, but the yarn boss couldn't be here today. But I am the blabbermouth, so that's why I got elected to do this. So the yarn bombers have been around a little over 2 years, and we have done 4 installations so far. We're about to do our 5th installation. All but one of those have been completely self-funded. We have been lucky enough to receive a lot of yarn donations from the community, and we're always welcoming more. Crochet hooks, knitting needles, anything you want. One project, we actually cost us $2,000 for supplies, and the yarn bombers self-funded about half of that and received donations from the community for the other half. But that's a big ask from individuals. So what we're proposing is very different from what we have done in the past. We are not talking about the community in Smithville here, the yarn bombers that live here and in Page and in Bastrop, or who join with us doing a project. We're actually talking about reaching out nationally and doing a national call out to crocheters and knitters and other fiber artists throughout the United States, and asking them to each submit a botanically themed 2-foot by 2-foot square. When we receive all of the squares, we will sew them all together. Cattle panel has proven in the past to be great for structural integrity, and display them. And we'll do an unveiling. We will invite the entire community. Anybody, any of the entrants are welcome to come from Kansas City. We've already got somebody from Kansas City who wants to submit one, or where they're submitting from. Anybody who shows up can vote on their favorite squares. So we'll get community involvement in it. And then that afternoon, we'll do an award ceremony. So we're looking at about $6,000 total, assuming we get roughly 200 squares. 200 squares would be about an 800 square foot of installation. So that breaks about $3,000 of that is supplies. $2,000 of those supplies will come from the yarn bombers nationally themselves, because everybody's going to be using their own yarn. It's about $10 a yarn per square, depending on what materials you use. That's a cheap material. About a third of what we expect in the budget, a little less than a third, will be prizes and community favorite prize, who came the farthest prize, the youngest yarn bomber prize. So not anything that makes people feel bad that they didn't get selected, but some fun prizes. So really what we're looking for funding for are 2 things. One is the cattle panel we need to sew everything on so we can hang it somewhere and display it. And 2, to spread the word, because none of us are PR people. None of us are very good at social media beyond, our own little Facebook pages and Instagram. So we'd actually like to hire a professional to do this for us and get the word out, do press releases, reach out to magazine, knitting organizations, crochet organizations, fiber art magazines, reach out to all the different yarn bombing or knitting or crochet clubs throughout the US, and see how many squares we can get. It's quite possible we get a whole lot more than 200 squares, in which case we have a little problem because, we can't buy more cattle panel, but we'll figure that out if it comes to it. So it's also quite possible we get fewer than 200 squares. So that's a risk we're taking here. Can this scale back if only 75% or 80% or 90% of funds are available. Yes, the more it's scaled back, the less we can spread the word. And the ultimate goal here is not a one-time installation. Our goal is to auction off each of the squares at the end of the installation, use that for seed money to go into the same event next year, but every year get larger and larger. We were inspired by some social media we saw on the International Yarn Bombers Festival and Convention in Milan, Italy, a couple of years ago. Now, Smithville isn't Milan, but we're way cool in a different way. So within 5 years, our goal would be to grow this large enough that we can have an annual national Yarn Bombers Festival and Convention right here in Smithville. So the money that we're asking for now will actually go to seed this event over and over and over again in years to come. Thank you.
Any questions for Monica before she turns off her microphone? Are you okay? All right, thank you. Thank you. And if you haven't signed in, please do. I saw a couple of new people come in. Okay. And Lori, did you want to talk about the storytelling? Okay.
By the way, that's an awesome program. And I'm totally behind you guys. But I'm totally behind the Yard Bombers. But I was very fortunate to be approached by some people that are very close to a gentleman that all of you know, Barry Corbin. He was in Yellowstone. He was the police officer in Dallas. He was, oh my God, I can't even tell you how many things he's been in. He's been in over 200 movies. And if you don't recognize the name, if you saw his face, you would know him immediately. Well, he lives in Texas. He's from Texas. He's a Texan, and he has started doing some programs throughout Texas, an evening with Barry Corbin. What it would do for us is just have someone who's extremely famous in our town. Actually, it may be something, and I don't know if Jill's even aware of this, but oh, there you are. It may be something because of the amount of people that would want to attend that we would collaborate with Bastrop on. The TJ who runs the hotel in Bastrop has offered, if we can pull this off, has offered to give us the banquet room in the hotel to pull it off. It would bring money in, and all the money would go in, back into Smithville. And it would just give us some press. And that's really, so it's a completely different project. The Yarn Bomber thing is total feel good, awesome community. This is more, it's a feel good, and it would definitely be huge. And he's great. And if for you guys to know about it, you would have to do a little research and look at Barry and what he's done and who he is. And you would be impressed. He's really an amazing person. And he's 82, I think. Yeah. So it really would be something that would be good for us to bring us some publicity in a positive light, but it's totally different. And it would not happen until spring for sure, especially because of the writers' strike. And now that's over and he's back to filming. So we would have to reschedule it in the spring, but yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Are we pretty good with everything? The packets do have the details of if anybody needs to see other, not all the artists are here to explain their work. If you have any questions about those other projects, we can do our best to explain that for you. Or if you feel like you've read it and it's okay, then our next step is for you to, the other thing I have is sticky notes. So if you have comments about any specific project and you want to say these are the reasons why you really should do this, or here's some things that I think you could do to make it better, or here's a partnership I'd like to propose to make sure that this is going to happen the right way, or if there's anything that you can do that you would like to mention as well, then we've got sticky notes that you can go ahead and just put so all along all of the doors are all the projects, and you can take your 5 votes. If you need them, come up and get a set, and just vote for the ones that you like the best. And then we'll come back around. We'll give you about 10 minutes. We're here until 7:30. So we'll give you about 10 minutes to go ahead and vote, and then we'll bring them down. We'll talk about what the results have been to y'all. If there's any more comments to be made at that point, or anybody wants to talk about anything, or how we can move some things around and really kind of maybe talk about the numbers a little bit more, see if anybody needs to make some changes to what their proposal was initially, or how we can start to fit things together, then we'll do that. So does everybody feel comfortable with that? Okay, all right. Thanks very much. I'm going to shut this off and we'll just go all around. Yeah, it's right here. Yes.
All right, we will reconvene right now and talk a little bit about the voting that went down tonight, with a reminder that there are also votes coming in from YouTube and Zoom, and that people will have the opportunity to vote by email with Jill by the end of the day tomorrow. Close of business tomorrow. So election day, be sure and vote for your favorite art projects that you want to see the cultural district sponsor. And then what we will do with the recommendations, the top vote getters, we will recommend those to the city council, and they will make the final vote. Keep in mind that with a limited budget, it may be that one project is requesting a lower dollar amount than another project that got more votes, but they're still able to squeeze that one in and stay within budget. So that's one of the things that will help them decide how they want to, which projects they wish to fund. So
The other thing, just to remind everybody, if we do any of these go through the Texas Commission on the Arts grants, there is a possibility that we will not be funded. So just keep that in mind as well. So when we're moving forward with different projects, if whichever one gets chosen to go for the January project through the TCA, that may not get funded through the TCA. What we would do is to potentially revisit that for next year's grant program. So if the artist would want to try to put that forward again. So drum roll. So what we have is Planting Joy. The Yarn Bombers got 19 votes. There's the top vote getter. So congratulations. We'll figure out how to make that all happen. The Janice Lee got 15 votes. Then it's, and I think, you know, everybody's, so Courtney Dyer's 6. That was the support for musicians on the Sunday market. The Hope Float sign got 5. There's a couple of 5 was tied for 5 was also Lori Huffman with storytelling with Barry Corbin. And also Bernadette Knoll, 5 votes for Worries, Wins, and Wishes. At 4 was the recommendation for the artistic exterior at Mary Nichols Art Center. At 4 also was the Jorge San Jueza Leon Smithville USA project. At 2 was the Michelle Gardella Community Archive project. At 2 also was the Towers Radio Show. At 1 was the Legacy Portraits, and Artscapes Drums for Youth did not get any votes tonight. So that's where we stand as of now. Obviously the top 3, let's say, is probably likely going to take up pretty much most of the funding. The Planting Joy was, you were asking for 14, just under 2,000. The Sustainable Art Projects, Janice, when you take out all that the things that you were going to take out, how much does that budget end up? Down to 3. Okay, so that's 5 already. And then Courtney's was 2,400. So I'll have to work with her about trying to get maybe a different match or something like that. And that'll take up basically what we got, I think. We'll see how the votes come in. If that changes, I'll let everybody know. If you did have questions, or if you want to reach back and talk with me about some other other kinds of things that we need to talk about to make things go. Janice, are you having your so can you get onto the, we have, sorry, for Zoom people, they have to hear us through the, otherwise they don't hear anything.
For the sustainable community art garden, initially, I think it was $5,000 grant. I can get that down to 3,000 and less if we get some matching grants, right, to reduce that further.
Yeah, sure, certainly. So if we did work with you on making that a Texas Commission on the Arts program, what we'd be looking at is basically the city would be able to provide, if we'll work out the number, but let's say 3,000 works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so then we would go to the Commission on the Arts. If it's a $5,000 thing, it's a 50-50 match, which means that it would actually be 2,500 from the city and 2,500 from TCA. So that would give us the extra 500 to maybe find another project to go on, and you would have the 5,000 for the whole project.
Okay.
We'll have to see how that all kind of works. I'll work with you in the next couple of weeks to figure out once council makes the decision about how they want to go forward, and then we can, but to be clear, if we send it up through the Commission on the Arts, what that means is that if they say no, then we'll have to reorganize and probably wait to do the program until next fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Anybody want to talk about? We lost most everybody. So. Yeah. Yeah. Did Zoom vote anyway, or get any? No. Okay, perfect. So because Jose wasn't talking in the microphone, he sent them all the information they need by email, and then they will contact me by email. So we'll figure all that out in the next day. All right. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it. Do you want to call this meeting to close?
Yes, so I will take a chance for an announcement because that is on the agenda. But It's Time Texas, the registration is now open. So and you'll probably be hearing from, oh yeah, which way is the camera? You'll probably be hearing from Jose as he gets started on the It's Time Texas project, but we want Smithville to win again. And so we'll get active. It starts in January, but you can sign up now and you get extra points for signing up early. So it's time. There is an app. Yes.
Well, the approach of using cattle panels to mount stuff on, I'm a huge fan of that. We use cattle panels in many, many ways, including feral hog traps and signs and all sorts of stuff. Great idea.
Okay, and then I guess we're officially adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you all
Adjourned.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.